Get ready for Oskaloosa High School sports on the Indians Network. Live sports. Local content. Student-run broadcasts. MCG, Oski News, and KIIC bring you the Indians Network. Presented by Craig Ford.
Hello, Indians fans, and welcome to another edition of the Indians Corner here on the Indians Network, presented by Craig Ford. Indians Corner presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. I'm Jamie Brockman. Busy week last week for Oskaloosa Indians athletics, and it was a busy week here on the Indians Network as well, as we had girls basketball on Monday, boys basketball on Tuesday, wrestling on Thursday. First look at the wrestlers, and then, of course, another girl-boy basketball doubleheader on Friday. And another busy week coming up this coming week, heading into the holiday break. We've got boys basketball Tuesday, girls boys basketball Friday, and girls boys basketball on Saturday to end the first part of the season. So looking back this past week, girls and boys basketball, it was a tough week for the Oskaloosa girls. They suffered a 63-28 loss at home on Monday night to a very strong North Mahaska team, and then went on the road Friday to DCG, a team that is certainly a contender to win the Little Hawkeye Conference, and came up short in that one, 68-20. So back to the drawing board for Coach J.C. White and staff. They have a whole week to get ready for their action this week. They don't play until Friday when they are on the road at Newton, and then Saturday at home hosting Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont. On the boys' side, Oski opened up with a nice win over Centerville on Tuesday, 83-36. Everything went well on Tuesday. The bench got in the game, contributed. I think we had 8 or 9 different players score, 17 three-pointers in the game. It was a fun one, 83-36 the final. And then I find out on Thursday that the 7-foot senior Xavier Foster is diagnosed with mono and is going to miss several weeks, and we were going to be without him on Friday at DCG. 1 day notice, and it showed. The team fell 78-60 at DCG on Friday. So Oskaloosa girls now are 1-5 overall. They're 0-2 in Little Hawkeye Conference play. And the Oski boys are 2-2 overall and 0-2 in the Little Hawkeye Conference. I do want to break down the conference a little bit for you here. On the girls' side, it's kind of DCG, Grinnell, Pella as the top teams. Grinnell and Pella are 2-0, as is DCG. Then you've got Indianola and Norwalk kind of in the middle, and then Oskaloosa and Pella Christian and also Newton are all winless right now in conference play on the girls' side. On the boys' side, DCG, Grinnell, Norwalk are all 2-0, although Norwalk did just suffer a regular season game loss to Winterset last week, early season setback. But DCG, Grinnell, and Norwalk are all 2-0 on the boys' side, and Pella Christian and Indianola are 1-1. Oskaloosa, Pella and Newton are all 0-2, and you know Oskaloosa's good, you know Pella's good, and you know Newton is improved. So it shows you how tough this Little Hawkeye Conference is on the boys' side this year. So that's a recap for you on the basketball. Wrestling-wise, Oskaloosa, as we said, was in action on Thursday. We had him here on the Indians Network. Fell to Norwalk in a conference duel, and then also to Winterset, 2 very good teams there. They went to the Ankeny Centennial Dual Tournament on Saturday, came away 3-2 overall in duels and a 5th place team finish. So we'll talk to Coach Chase Weber about that coming up. We'll also talk to DeJuan Foster, who's been filling in as the boys head coach in the absence of Ryan Parker. And we'll talk to Brandon Schultz, who is one of the coaches on the Oskaloosa girls program, and he'll be here to talk to us today as well. So all that coming up here on this week's edition of Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. Don't go away. Back with coaches after this.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! Decision.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve. With home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Welcome back to Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. We're going to talk Oskaloosa girls basketball to start this week, and J.C. White unable to be here, so we've got one of the assistant coaches. Brandon Schultz is here. He's also the head JV girls coach. Brandon, thanks for coming in.
Thanks,
good
Jamie.
to see you.
Thanks, Jamie.
Well, we'll talk a little bit. This is kind of an interesting opportunity because we can talk about the varsity, but we can also talk about the younger group a little bit that you work with primarily. But let's start with the varsity girls, 1-5 right now, and a couple of tough losses this past week to North Mahaska and then DCG. Start with North Mahaska on Monday night. North Mahaska, smaller school, but very, very talented as they have been the last 3 or 4 years. And you probably knew you were going to get a test there on Monday night.
Yeah, definitely. We actually, a lot of people don't know, but we lived in New Sharon for 9 years. So Isaac's in that class. So we knew that loaded senior class this year. They're tough. Cassie Steele, she's a big-time player. And we knew they were going to be tough. They were tough last year. We struggled with them last year. We knew their pressure was going to get us, and they come out in that zone. They love to trap that and get aggressive with that zone. We knew it was going to be a struggle, and it was. It wasn't pretty for sure.
63-28 was the final, but a majority of those points came in the fourth quarter with the running clock, and out of nowhere, Mary Nelson just got hot, hit 4 straight threes and had a layup, and so fourth quarter was good there toward the end, but unfortunately, the nail had already been pounded, so to speak.
Yeah, and Mary, when we get her look, she is a very good shooter. She hits shots all the time. We see it at practice every day, and it's tough though because she has their best defender guarding her. It's hard to get her looks, and she knows that. She works hard, and she uses more energy than anybody out there because she's running around trying to find space and get looks. But yeah, we look good. We moved the ball better in the fourth quarter, got points. Some of that was against their backups, but it was definitely a confidence builder there at the end. But we got to start better than that. We were down huge at half, and it wasn't good. So we see the mistakes, and we need to work on, and the girls see it, I hope, and we can move forward.
Same story basically for the road game at DCG, the conference game on Friday night, 68-20 the final there, and at one point we were tied 4-4, and it was pretty competitive back and forth the first 3.5 minutes or so, and then I think they went on like a 39-3 run to end the first half, and it was just kind of downhill from there. So obviously what's leading to this is just turnovers. Way too many turnovers, not enough offensive chances at the hoop. So it seems to be an ongoing issue. I know it's something you guys work on. What are things you do to try to fix this, and what is your focus moving forward to try to fix that?
When we work drills every day with pressure passing, where we put pressure all of the girls, don't let them dribble. You have to rip through. You have to be strong with the ball. You got to make pass out of being stuck. We work ball handling. We work everything. We see it. We just got to get better. The girls have to really want to do it and get it done. And there's some fighters out there. We see attitude. We see the good things that we need to see from them. The fight. But they gotta translate into the game. We look good. We have weeks of practice where we look great, then we go out and get pounded by 50. So we have to take what we're learning in practice, the confidence that we have in practice, and carry it into the game. They have to show up to the game and say they can do it. And I think we'll see some good things here. We got a couple winnable games coming up here, so hopefully that helps us before the break.
Yeah, obviously we've seen some bright spots. Obviously the win against Centerville to start the season in the opener was a lot of good things showed in that one. But so obviously the pieces are there. Just got to get it all together for 4 full quarters. What would you say are some of the let's try to find some positive. What do you think are positives right now with the girls team and things you can build on?
Well, we have scores this year, which is an improvement. We have girls that at times have looked to want to score and be aggressive. We had times at Knoxville where we didn't want to shoot. We had times at North Mahaska where we didn't want to shoot. But we have girls that can put the ball in the basket. Macy's a good, decent shooter from outside. Mary is electric shooter from outside. Ashley Smith, who we haven't got to see a whole lot yet, she was injured early in the season. She can shoot it really well from the outside. We have better offensive tools. So we're just going to keep working. We work shooting drills. I work shooting drills every day with the girls, with the perimeter players, and they've gotten better. We can see it. They're moving around. They're hitting shots on the move, and there's good things there. I think we're going to see some more scoring, some better things to come for sure.
So you talk about a couple winnable games coming up before the break. You get a full week to work things out in the gym and practice and try to get a win on Friday night when you go on the road to Newton. Newton is a team that's young and struggling also. And then Saturday, final game before the holiday break, you're home against Eddyville Blakesburg Fremont, which happens to be a team that you beat a year ago. So as coaches, obviously, going in, you got to feel very confident about what you can accomplish this week.
Yeah, definitely. Newton, we were right with them last year as well, and we took them down to the wire. It was we've had competitive games the last 2 years with them, so that's definitely a winnable team. They have a first-year coach. Their coach is actually the boys' coach now from last year, who was a childhood friend of mine, grew up next door to me. So that's kind of fun seeing him do that stuff, but yeah, Newton, it's definitely winnable. I mean, we're looking at it, and we can win every game, but that's one that we know is there, and we know we can go get it. Eddyville, like you said, we beat them last year. They are improved. They look to be better. They're young, though. They're definitely a little bit inexperienced. So we're as coaches, we're definitely going in planning on and getting 2 victories here and changing it up for the break here.
So do you feel like the girls feel that way coming into this week? I mean, obviously, they've taken some big lumps here the last week or two. So do you feel like maybe a little less stress this week on their part, and they feel like, hey, we can win these games?
I don't know. I haven't really talked to them about it, but we don't look too far ahead. But they have to know that those teams are coming up, and they know Newton is right there on our level, and Eddyville, like you said, we beat last year. So the girls are going to be confident. I have a feeling we're going to have 4 good practices here.
So we all know the lumps that we've taken this season and the struggles, obviously. But how big would it be to pick up 1 or 2 wins heading into the holiday break to kind of build on and have coming back in January?
That would be great. It'd be a relief for the girls because they're working hard. They're frustrated. They need the win. They need that confidence builder and just taste the victory. It's crazy what that does to these girls in high school. So. It would be big. The confidence alone, taking in a break, we have a few days off, so then they would get that time off, relax, come back, and be motivated to get the second half going.
Talking with Brandon Schultz, and he is on the coaching staff of the Oskaloosa girls basketball program, one of the assistants on the varsity squad and head coach of the JV squad. And let's talk about the younger group now that you work with primarily, the JV girls. They're 4-2, and they've got some talent that's going to be coming up to the varsity level here in the next couple of years. But exciting win for you guys on Friday night, a buzzer beater.
Yeah, it was really fun. We were down 12 at half. We were down 15 at one point in the first half. The girls just believe they don't stop. The halftime was great. I gave them good motivation. They were into it. I could see it in their eyes. They were ready to come back and go get it. We gave up too many open threes in the first half to put us down. We should hang with DCG, and we've actually been in all 4 games that I've had. This is my 3rd year now. We've actually been in all 4 games with DCG and had 1-1. Yeah, I think all of our losses were within 10. So I was really wanting this. I preached to the girls all week that this is one I really wanted to go get, and they got after it. They didn't start well, like I said, they were giving up open shots, but and everything was going down. That's why I told the girls at half, everything's going down. We're going to be fine. Our shots were not going down, and Addie Carter comes out and hits 4 threes in the second half. Blanco had like 12 points in the second half. When we got after it, it was fun. Rebounding, girls that don't even put up stats, they're getting 6-7 boards. Lucy Roche was killing on the boards. Just a lot of good things in that game. It was fun.
Let's talk about a few of those players that I see consistently on the stat sheet kind of standing out. You mentioned Aubrey Blanco. We also have Lucy Roach, who, is just putting up some tremendous numbers this year. Those are just a couple. So how do you feel about what you have at the JV level this year, and where do you feel, or how do you feel they're going to fit into the varsity level coming up?
Well, a couple of them are real close. We've thrown Addie in there a little bit. At the varsity level, and she's seeing the difference in the speed and the athleticism there at the next level. But she's going to come around. She shoots it like Mary. It's just a very consistent outside shooter. She's very good. But she's going to translate. Her ball handling's good. Once she gets a little bit bigger, older, she's a sophomore now. She'll be fine. I think she's really going to help us the next 2 years. Blanco, we talked about. She's sophomore as well. She's very skilled around the basket. Her post play is very good. She's worked on it a lot as a younger player. her toughness and size is going to come, and she's going to also be a contributor next year, I have a feeling. And she also has an outside shot that we haven't got to see yet, which I'm trying to get her convinced that we need to start shooting these shots in games. We work on it all the time, and she puts it down. So same with Roach. She's an inside player, but she hits. Everybody hits shots. We work on a ton of shooting. I'm ready to open these girls up and get after it. So yeah, lots of good things to come. Presley Blomers, our point guard. She's very skilled. Her court vision is very good. She's had 5 to 10 assists multiple times. Her shot's going to come around eventually, and she's going to start scoring more too. But she rebounds well as a guard. She's had 6-7 rebounds in a game. So she's kind of our team leader and gets us going. But Gracie Flaherty also, she's been sick last week, but another good shooter. I put 5 girls out there that hit shots, so it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun with them.
All right. Well, let's talk about the Little Hawkeye Conference a little bit here and get your thoughts on that. Little Hawkeye, produces tough teams every year. Might be a little bit down this year compared to previous years, but it looks to me like right now, DCG and Grinnell are kind of the two. DCG is 2-2, and Grinnell is 2-0 in the conference. DCG is 5-1 overall. We've seen both of those teams. Do you think those are the two that are going to kind of stand out at the top of this conference when it's all said and done, or do you see a Pella or somebody else sneaking in there?
Pella is definitely going to be good. I don't know that they're going to hang with Grinnell and DCG, and I don't know what DCG, how that was going to work with Grinnell. Grinnell kind of, we played really tough against Grinnell, and maybe they had a little bit of an off night because they've been pounding teams since then even. But our conference is very tough. It's top. Those girls, the teams at the top are just loaded. Grinnell from last year, they're coming back very good again, even though they lost a couple players that didn't come out. But we saw what they can do. They can shoot it like crazy. Indianola is going to be tough, a bigger school. Regardless of who they've lost and who they have there, they're going to be good. They have some good younger girls. I've seen them coming up and through travel ball and all that. So I'd say those are the top 4 right there. But there's winnable games there at the bottom, and we know that. We're going to go get them.
All right. Well, good luck to you and the rest of the girls and coaches and everybody, as we've got a couple possible exciting moments this week with a couple winnable games on the road at Newton on Friday, and then at home hosting Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont on Saturday. That will be the final game before the holiday break. Then you get a couple of weeks off to recoup, work on things, and come back for the second half in January. By the way, that is a 5 o'clock girls tip-off on Saturday at home against Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont, followed up by the boys. We'll have both of those Friday and Saturday for you right here on the Indians Network. Brandon, thanks for coming in, and happy holidays to you and the staff, and we look forward to good things to come.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jamie.
All right, that is Brandon Schultz joining us here on Indians Corner, again, a member of the Oskaloosa girls basketball coaching staff. We'll take a break. More to come here on the Indians Corner right after this.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve Beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! Decision.
Shake the sugar tree till I feel you.
He was swinging. Yeah, just a swing.
I'd get it one piece at a time, and it wouldn't cost me a dime.
You mind your own business. Mind your own business. Everybody in town knows I'm crazy over you.
Country, your all-time favorites.
Welcome back to Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee, here on the Indians Network, presented by Craig Ford. Jamie Brockman continuing our talk. We have DeJuan Foster joining us now. Of course, DeJuan is a member of the Oskaloosa boys basketball coaching staff, has been handling the head coaching duties the past couple of weeks with the absence of Coach Ryan Parker, who's been out with health issues. And, well, Coach, tough game on Friday night at DCG. Started out the week great. Let's start there on a positive. Centerville came in on Tuesday, and that was a team that obviously you knew you were favored in. You had a lot of areas that you could excel in, and boy, everything went right on Tuesday in that big win over Centerville.
Things worked well. We had a bunch of guys step up. It was just kind of different. You know, we knew that we were going to get other guys in the game because that was my plan moving forward, to try to get some of these other guys ready moving forward. And, you know, everyone that we put in, none of them actually hurt us as far as what they did. You know, they all brought something good to the table, so it worked out well. You know, we started the game kind of slow and, you know, kind of lackadaisical defensively, and they scored well in the first quarter. Halfway through the second quarter, we picked it up, and then we really turned it on in the second half as far as defensively.
Yeah, you did, and you got a lot of kids in, and you put them in fairly early, too. I mean, third quarter and then early on in the fourth quarter, clearing the bench and getting those kids some good time out there. It was nice to see everybody get a chance to play without Xavier on the floor, because we're going to have to deal with that, obviously, now. We'll talk about that coming up. But they got out there and produced well. Defense was great, but, man, everybody was hitting shots. I think we had 17 threes we made.
We did. We made 17 threes, and you know what? I hate to call them the bottom 5 guys, but they shot the ball better than, you know, the top 7. Like, they shot. I think we hit 5 threes in the fourth quarter, and that was all, you know, bench players. Dalton Denny came in and hit 2 threes. Waylon Bolenball hit 2 threes. You know, it was just a really good team effort.
So then, obviously, you know, a big win there. Final score was 83-36. Oskaloosa with a very lopsided win. And then you go back to practice, and I'm assuming spirits had to be just sky high going back to the gym on Wednesday after a win like that.
You know, Wednesdays are typically a pretty easy day for us, you know, especially after a game. We come in and we just get a lot of shots up, and the kids go lift. Well, what happened Wednesday is we had a couple guys saying, you know, I just don't feel well. It was a stomach bug going around and a little bit of this other stuff. So we just got our shots up, and we kind of let them go home. We didn't lift, and we came back to it Thursday, and the bottom fell out, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's the day we found out that Xavier obviously was diagnosed with mono, and Charlie North is a bench player that's been diagnosed with mono, and I noticed Daryl Fain was not with the team on Friday. He's battling some health issues too. So the bug is hit here. I guess if it's going to hit, it's kind of a good time because, you know, we're right before the holiday break. But first of all, let's update on Xavier. What is his status, and when are you expecting him to be able to play?
Well, we got a call. We got a text from the doctor. It had to be Friday morning, and they said 4 to 6 weeks was it. And it's really depending on how he's feeling as far as his stamina-wise. You know, he hasn't been too tired. Heck, we don't even know how long he's had mono. I know that he hasn't run quite to what I thought he was capable of all year, but, you know, we don't know how long he's had it. So right now it's just about getting a little bit of rest, and he's cleared to go back to school and actually practice as far as the running stuff, but there's no contact. And so that's where we are with him. And me, from a coach's perspective, I'm looking at right around the 14th of January. So it'll be second game after break. I'm not even sure who it is right now. But
Pella, I think. Yeah.
Is it? No, Pella's the 7th. It's the game after Pella. It's that Friday. It's what I'm looking for, but so much of it's dependent on how he's feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, the team is going to have to find ways to score. That's a big majority of our offense right there. And just his defensive presence is so big. Just his presence on the floor changes everything. We saw that on Friday night. I mean, I don't think DCG attacks us like they did Friday if Xavier's on the floor. So it just completely changed the whole flow of the game, obviously. And let's go to Friday's game now. Suffered a 78-60 loss to DCG. Obviously felt the absence of Xavier on the floor, but just talk about that game and the flow. DCG came out, and they were running and gunning all night long.
They were running, and that was the one thing that we knew. They got out in transition. You know, if you gamble in the backcourt, you're going to give up a layup. We would make some bad passes and then kind of hang out in the backcourt and try to get a steal, which lead to a layup. You know, a couple times we fouled them on that. And we played a great first half. I'd say we played a great 15 minutes the first half. That last minute of the second quarter and into the third quarter, we just kind of struggled as far as getting stops. We were matching them offensively early in the game, and we didn't necessarily get stops. They kept scoring, we didn't. And I'll take a lot of the credit for it because I should have called the timeout to kind of stop their run there in the third quarter because we were still scoring the ball, but, you know, they got 3 stops in a row, scored. I never stopped kind of the flow of the game, so that one's on me. I thought the kids played hard. You know, some of it is, you know, we were trying to make a 5-point shot, a 10-point shot, trying to get back in the game with one play instead of chipping away. And then once again, that comes back to me as a coach and as far as calming the kids down.
Yeah. And talk about, obviously third quarter was big. You mentioned in the post-game interview, we went from down 5 to down 12 at halftime in a matter of just a couple of minutes there at the end of the second quarter. Third quarter, we scored the first 5 points, if I remember right, and then they kind of took over from there and had a huge third quarter. But let's talk about some of the individuals now. Obviously without Xavier, we knew we were going to need some guys to step in and step up and pick up their intensity and their role. Colton Butler did that. He had, I think, 9 points, but man, he was just all over the place and playing as hard as I've ever seen him play.
I mean, that's the one thing about Colton. He's just a kid who plays really, really hard all the time, and you can ask him to do something on the fly and he'll do it. It's a joy to coach. I mean, I know every game I've ranted and raved about Colton, but he's just one of those players who he's not the most skilled at all, but he leaves everything that he's got out there on the floor.
Which, as a coach, that's all you can ask for. Obviously, you love to have kids like that. And then, as far as the rest of the clan, I mean, we just kind of struggled hitting shots. I mean, we had shots. We had a lot of good looks. They just didn't drop. Noah had several good looks at 3 that just didn't go down, and he's going to hit those probably 60-70% of the time. I thought Isaac and Will and Keaton all had some good looks. Just didn't drop.
We actually, believe it or not, we shot the ball really well in the game, is what the stats say. We shot 50 from the floor, 40 from 3. We're 50 from the free throw line, but that's neither here nor there. Those free throws didn't really hurt us. We didn't get stops, and last time I was here, I said we're going to hang our hat on the defensive end, and we were giving up straight line layups. They were straight line drive layups. It's really tough to, combat that. They're shooting layups, and we're taking threes. You got to stop that, make them work a bit harder offensively. And hats off to DCG because they ran a lot of good stuff. And it was tough to kind of game plan for that as far as without Xavier, because our whole game plan changes in our pregame practice as far as how we're going to guard him, what we're going to do, knowing coming into the game. Rankin and Glasgow scored a lot of points in the lane. Yep. We played a zone against DCG, and one other time in my 4 years here on staff, we played zone, and that was down at the Quincy Shootout a couple years ago, and we may have played one other possession in zone, in my last 3 years here. So we just haven't necessarily, we weren't able to get those stops in order for us to get shots and kind of claw back into the game.
Well, and here's another question that maybe you can't answer. It might be a better question to ask the kids, but you only had 1 day to prep without Xavier. You find out Thursday that he's going to be out, and so you've got Thursday practice and then the ride to DCG to kind of prep for this. But how much of a mindset change is this for the kids? For one, you didn't get much time to prep, but the offense kind of runs through Xavier, obviously. The idea is get Xavier the ball, get him as many touches as we can. Now he's not out there at all. It's not just that he's in foul trouble coming back. He's not out there at all. So they got to completely change the way they play.
Right, absolutely. Roles change. Some kids go from complete role players to being featured, and that's a tough shift if you've got weeks to practice it. It's just not what you're used to. And to do it overnight's tough. To ask for the kids, I can't fault any of them for how they played. I thought they all played really hard and really, really well. Offensively, defensively, we should probably, maybe the biggest shift for us because Xavier's our anchor back there. You can gamble on the perimeter when you have an eraser behind you. And, we're still gambling on the perimeter, and there's nobody back there to, contest the shot, block the shot. So it's a whole shift. And, we got 3 games this week, and, that's the tough thing is to get a lot of good quality practice in and balance it. Being with such a short bench and having good quality practices as well as preparing for games. So it's a balancing act, and it's kind of a tough one, too.
In addition to the sickness and the thin bench we already had, we had foul trouble all night too, and had to battle through that on Friday. But 78-60, the final score. DCG with the win. Big win on Tuesday for Oski over Centerville, 83-36. So that was the week last week for Oskaloosa, and Indians are 2-2 right now, 0-2 in Little Hawkeye Conference play. And before we move on and talk about next week, let's talk about the conference, where it stands right now. Again, there are 5 contenders probably that can win the conference this year, and I think everybody's going to kind of pound on everybody and beat on everybody, and we're seeing that already. But DCG, Grinnell are 2-0, Norwalk's 2-0. Pella is putting up a lot of points so far in their wins. So tell me how the conference is playing out in your mind so far.
I mean, that's what you hit it exactly on the head. I mean, it's going to be a dogfight night in and night out. It doesn't matter who the teams are. Like Newton is a team who didn't win a game in conference last year, but they've lost 3 games this year by 8 points total. It's just one of those things that all the teams have gotten better, and it's about managing the storm and beating teams. Winning games at home is really what I think we need to do. And on the road, it's going to be a crapshoot. We're going to have to come out and compete, and what happens happens.
Yep. All right. Well, moving on to next week now. As Dwan mentioned, 3 games on the schedule. It starts Tuesday night at home, non-conference against Washington. Washington is a physical team. I mean, they're just that way across the board. Football, basketball, baseball, it doesn't matter. And they seem to not like Oskaloosa a whole lot generally. So they're going to come in, and obviously they got to have a little extra confidence now, seeing that we've lost a couple early season games. So I expect they're going to bring it on Tuesday. We're going to get a big test.
Absolutely. Washington's one of those teams that we've beat, 4 or 5 straight times, maybe even 6 in the past 2 years. We played them once in the in the regular season. We've played them in the postseason, and we've beaten them pretty handily. Pair that with the football rivalry, and it's just a dislike both ways. I would say, the kids know who the kids are, and it's one of those things we got to bring our hard hats ready to work because it's Washington team. Yep. They kind of smell blood, and we have to be able to defend the home court.
So with Xavier out, what kind of team do you want this to be? What are we drawing up and game plan wise? How does that affect that, and what type of team will we be?
It's all about us. We're going to shoot the ball well. That's the one thing that I think with this team is that we didn't expect coming in. We're going to shoot the ball better than we expected, and it's about stops and figuring out how to get those stops, and then trusting each other and understanding that the offense is going to create baskets and we don't necessarily have to go out and create for ourselves. If we go into the game with the mindset of making plays, and by making plays, that doesn't mean making a play for my shot. Making a play to get someone else open, I think we'll be okay.
All right. So Washington Tuesday at home, and then on the road Friday back to the Little Hawkeye Conference against Newton. As you mentioned, Newton, 1-3 record, 0-2 in the conference, but much improved from a year ago. And they've got a little Oski flavor on the bench there with their coach too.
Do they?
Yeah, Jason Carter, I think, is their coach, and he's an Oski alum, and so that's going to be exciting. And I know he knows other coaches and things like that. And then Saturday, Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont coming in, and I know the Rockets the last few years have had a pretty darn good smaller school level team. Don't know much about them this year. What do you know about Eddyville?
I don't know anything about them particularly. The one thing that I always know when it comes to Eddyville is that's a team of kids who all play extremely hard, and they're physical as all get out, and they are not afraid. We could be better than them like we were in years past, but never had any back down. They were never intimidated by anybody on our roster, and then come out and give it our all. That's a team that if you're not ready to bring it, they'll beat you.
Yeah. So that's going to be a busy week to end the first part of the season, and then we head into the holiday break. So we're 2-2 right now. Obviously, you want to win every game, but what would you be happy with heading into holiday break at this point?
I'd be happy with winning the home games, but like I said, I want to win them all. And that is what we do it for, is to win all of our games. If we play the way that we should play, the way that we can play with or without Xavier. We got guys who've been on the varsity team for 3 years, and just go out and take care of business, and I think we'll be okay.
All right. Well, I guess, we're getting Coach Parker back next week, I understand. So that'll change things up a little bit, kind of get a little normalcy back in things. And we continue to wish him well in his recovery from his health issues. And hopefully Xavier recovers quick, and everybody else that's suffering health issues right now as well, heading into the holiday break. So hopefully coming back in January, everybody's 100% and ready to go.
That's the goal. We'd appreciate if we had our full roster back and we can go out and play some games.
All right. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming in and talking the last few weeks. Thanks again for that, and good luck to you guys the rest of the year.
All right, thanks, Sam.
Happy holidays to you as well. That is Dwan Foster, and of course he's been filling in as head coach of Oskaloosa here the past few games with the absence of Coach Parker, and he's one of the assistants on the team as well. We'll take a break, and we'll have more to come on Indians Corner right after this.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve. With home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
MCG was born out of the need for reliable connectivity in rural Iowa. We put small-town values over all else because serving local communities is something we take seriously. We believe in providing world-class service, in giving our communities a chance to succeed, in treating everyone like family. MCG helped pioneer reliable communication services in Iowa, and in doing so, learned how to provide solutions in underserved communities. MCG, world-class service, small-town values.
Oskaloosa. It's our community, and we're thankful to be a part of it. Telling its stories, sharing its smiles. We're building community, keeping you informed, giving you a voice, letting you know you're never alone during the victories and the losses, happiness and pain. For tomorrow's a new day, and we'll be there, working for you, ready to tell your story. That's our commitment. It's what we do, now and in the future, because we're always on. We're Oskaloosa News.
Welcome back to Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee here on the Indians Network. We're going to switch from the hardwood to the mats now, and we're joined by Chase Weber, the head wrestling coach at Oskaloosa High School. And, of course, we featured the Indians on the Indians Network here last Thursday when they hosted the triangular duel against Winterset and Norwalk. Tough night for Oskaloosa that night, but two very good teams with Winterset and Norwalk. So we'll start there. Coach Weber, you knew coming in that Winterset and Norwalk were tough and they were loaded, and I didn't quite know exactly that they were that good, but man, Norwalk took it to you. 77-3 was the final in the duel, and Wyatt Creer the only win by decision at 145. But just take me through that duel and what your thoughts were.
Well, kind of the same as yours. You know, Norwalk's usually pretty good. But going on paper, we looked like we could battle in a few matches that we thought we could, be a little more respectable on that win column. But talking to you earlier, there was 5 matches that we were winning or had a chance to win in that we ended up getting pinned in. Mm-hmm. And so in wrestling, that's a huge swing in points. It's not just a three-pointer over here. It's a big 6 on theirs that takes away the 3 from ours, so 9-point difference in every match that we had there. So a couple of those, we had kids on their backs, and they got off, and then later in the match pin us, or it was just a close match that we could have won where we ended up getting pinned with third period. And it's just like getting yourself in better position, but we were, some of them, in position to win. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the score got a little crazy on us, but going in, we felt really good about, for the most part, the week. We're trying to make weight the second time, and everybody's a little more comfortable, but maybe we're a little too comfortable when we're warming up.
What were some of the positives that you spotted in that duel? I mean, despite the score, despite all the pins that you gave up, things like that, what were some moments there that you thought, you were pretty pleased with?
Overall, the experienced kids are getting with it. Kind of eye-opening for some of them on, hey, you're going against another guy that says he's a sophomore, but, it's just a little bit different. They might have more opportunity or been wrestling year-round versus you guys have been here for 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. They I think that's good for kids, whether they like it or not. I don't want to lose, but it is good to get some of those hard matches and then realize where you need to be and kind of help push yourself the next week.
Absolutely. Wyatt Creer had the only win in that duel against Norwalk. It was a 10-5 decision at 145 pounds. Winterset beat Norwalk in their duel. It came down to the very last match, and Winterset won, I want to say, by 3 or 4 points was the difference in that team score. It was a great duel. And then Winterset and Oskaloosa closed the night, and Winterset got a 60-6 win there. We did get a couple of individual wins. Wyatt Creer, once again, he went 2-0 on the night. So, again, point out some things that you were happy with there. Obviously, Wyatt Career's performance was good on Thursday, but what were some other things?
Well, between duels, we talked about, just battling and just a little bit step it up a notch now. And on paper, we thought Winterset was going to be tougher. They're a top 5 team in 2A, and they have some really big studs in the middle of their lineup. So we knew our good kids might be matched up with their good kids, which means we got to rely some of it on the younger guys. And so they did have a better effort to them. They did have a better positioning. I mean, I want to say maybe like Philip Abrahamson might have finished the match to where, you were battling, you didn't give up, we weren't there. And then we had, another match where we were maybe winning or tied towards the end of the match, and we ended up getting caught in a cradle and pinned. And so again, with those scores, we were trying to keep it closer. We had 2 wins instead of 1, and we had another guy that could have won. So we thought they'd be tough, and they proved it. Norwalk kind of caught us by surprise, but we thought as coaches the second duel was a better battle, and kids kind of opened up a little more. All
right. Well, some of the kids I want to ask you about that I was somewhat impressed with. Some of your little guys like Harbor. Talk about Harbor and his performance. I haven't seen him wrestle a lot, but I thought both matches he brought it. I mean, he didn't go 2-0, but he wrestled hard. He did some good things. You can see definite potential there.
He must be one of those kind of turn the lights on kind of kids. He goes out there and he's crazy. So in practice, we notice everybody beating on each other to where they're going all out. We don't really notice the little things, and you go out in a match and he throws a headlock and rolls through and keeps fighting, just reach back, grab a kid and get a reversal. And so we're proud of him as far as keep going. We just got to sharpen up what he's doing, and we can kind of make it better. And he had a really good day yesterday at our tournament, same as he kind of showed on Thursday, but didn't have the wins on Thursday.
And then Trey Miller at 120, he's gonna pull off a lot of wins this year, I think. He unfortunately went 0-2 in the duels on Thursday, and he was ahead in both those matches, did some good things, and then kind of wore down later and got caught. But those were a couple, and then obviously Creer was standing out at the 145-pound weight class as well. One thing that we noticed, I had the Sams brothers up on commentary with me on Thursday, so Brett and Drew were up there, and one thing that we all kind of noticed and talked about was that looked like maybe conditioning wasn't where it needs to be yet. We're early in the season, obviously, and you've got a lot of youth. And then I had a lot of the wrestlers come up and interview them in the booth, too, in between duels. And one of the things that they said about that was, hey, we've got a lot of young guys, so we're working on some of the basics right now, and we're working conditioning in a little bit here and there. So where do you feel you're at in that area, and is that something you need to focus on more?
Well, as the year goes on, it'll get harder and harder, and like they said, we've been working a little bit more on positioning versus just running. So practice time's been split up to where we might work on 2 different skill sets instead of 1. And now as we get towards after Christmas, we'll be working on a little bit more live wrestling and only work on 1 skill set, so we should be more dialed in to what you're used to and what you want. And then talking to those guys, a couple of them have been sick, like even Trey on Thursday, he wasn't feeling the best. And there's a couple other guys that had missed Tuesday because they had gone homesick, or they threw up Wednesday morning and came back to school later so they could come to practice, and trying to make sure they're not viral where other kids are getting sick, but also there's some of them are understanding that they want to practice so they're not out of shape because they have missed other days because of it. So a little bit of that, and then just a little bit of kind of room size. I'll complain all year long about having 45 guys in a tiny room, but it's great for working out with numbers, but it's not so great when we're trying to spread things out. Conditioning wise, we hit different types of sprints. We hit stations. They lift twice a week, and so you get what you put in for the most part. A couple of our top guys, they push harder than some of the newbies, and so they feel better than the other ones. It's kind of a little bit bigger range, and gap will close down the longer the season goes on.
Talking about Chase Weber, he's the head wrestling coach at Oskaloosa High School, and we'll move on to the weekend now and talk about action on Saturday. You went to the Ankeny Centennial Duels Tournament, and you had 5 duels there, pretty tough ones. Went 3-2, finished 5th place as a team, got wins over Carlisle, PCM and Sioux City North, suffered losses to West Des Moines Dowling and Ballard. So 3-2, 5th place finish. Tell me about your day on Saturday and how you felt.
Better than last year. The first time I talked to you was all about progress and improving and closing gaps, and definitely better day. And with our numbers being up, some of those wins came from just filling our lineup. PCM and Sioux City they're half a lineup just because. But there's no real reason when you look at online and look at their rosters. But who knows if it's eligibility or injury or whatnot. But we have enough kids where I had a couple backups come with, and we ended up needing them. We had two guys that had to leave for the choir and the magical dinner thing, so we had extra people, and we haven't always had that option in my 5 years, and so that's been a huge part. I did some tallies before I came in, and there's 16 forfeits that we took from people. So 3 years ago we didn't have that, and so now we're winning.
3 years ago we were given those.
Yeah, right. So now we're winning duels because we're filling the weights just by default, let alone winning matches. And Saturday we did a lot better. We responded well. Friday night practice really went hard. Kids, everybody looked good, energetic, and then Saturday morning everyone out there, and we all had a lot of matches.
So we mentioned you went 3-2 as a team. Who were some of the standouts for you throughout the 5 different duels?
I'd say Keegamans Butler went 5-0 on the day. I think he only took 1 forfeit on the 5 duels, but he was 0-2 on Thursday, and then come back and don't let it keep you down. Just go back to what you're supposed to be doing. It's your style, your match. You set it up. He did a really good job of reattacking on people's mistakes, and he moved a little bit better on bottom. So pushing yourself there. Wyatt Creer, we've talked about a lot, went 4-1. I had him up at 152 against Ballard because if we needed to win that duel, that's where we needed our lineup. And like I said, we filled all the weights, but trying to get some of those close match wins where, towards the end it didn't go our way, so the score flip-flopped. But, he took that. He was winning that match. And same thing, you get caught, and bigger, stronger guys. It's just kind of the way of the sport. So feel bad for him taking that loss, but at the same time, he did what he needed to for the team, and we really appreciate that. And Trey Miller went 4-1 again, another bounce back. He had 0-2, didn't feel good Thursday, to feeling better on Saturday and having good matches. His Dowling matchup was a real strong kid, and he was wrestling well with him. And same thing, just he's young, so the guy was a sophomore, a little more muscular, and just live and learn and make adjustments for next time you have a strong kid. But otherwise, winning record-wise, Bunder had 2 wins over 1. I had him split some time. Salvador Gonzalez did a little better, went 3-2. Leland was 3-2, and then Connor Harbor was 4-1 with a couple forfeits in there. So his record is good. I just can't praise him too much. He's just getting his hand raised, but we're glad he was there for us.
Sure. So good successful day Saturday for the most part, and improvement from where you were last year at that tournament, which is what you look for. So now this week you've got the whole week. There's no duels this week, midweek, so you're not in action until Saturday. You go back to the Pella tournament on Saturday, final outing before the holiday break. And you're going to see a lot of familiar competition there Saturday. What do you want to see this team do Saturday heading into the holiday break?
Well, there's a couple guys that might have some common matchups. So Ottumwa and Pella both being 3A and at our districts. So we want to really, if we have those matchups by random, that we really need to focus in on winning those for later in the season. We got 7 of our 14 starters have winning records, so they'll be seeded. It won't be drawn in, which is always nice because you have a little bit better shot at that first round win, get you in the semifinals. Now you're going to be top 5. Don't want to go 0-2 and get beat out. So really kind of getting some of the young guys to understand that. Like, hey, this is where you want to be. Every match counts. Nobody wants to lose, but really push it in to make the most out of your situation.
So also looking forward now into the holiday break and coming back in January. Early season, you've got a lot of changes as far as up a weight, down a weight, whatever, trying to get to where they want to be or where they're comfortable. Do you feel your team is set right now? I mean, we're going to get Cody Gunn back after the holidays, which is big at 160. There's going to be a lot of wins there and a lot of energy and leadership coming from him at 160. But do you feel the team is set lineup-wise, or are you looking at maybe some more changes to come yet?
There would only be maybe 2 or 3 more changes. And, like I said, we're filling the lineup, so we're not gapped. It's just different experience levels. If there's a couple of guys that want to go down a weight, some of them are in between. They're naturally just kind of they're weighing maybe 186. Like, or 188, and it's like, well, you guys can make your choice if you want to. Or I got a couple guys that are in the mid 70s. It's like, well, you guys can make your choice. And even if it's JV, trying to explain to them the competitive advantage. We don't want you to try to starve or cut weight just for the heck of it. But if you're going out there and you feel that you're undersized, just make a couple, cut out some bad habits, and you'll get yourself there through practice. It's not hard. We're exercising, and we want you to be healthy. And if I'm throwing you out there against bigger guys, you don't really feel healthy sometimes.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, good luck to you guys this Saturday at the Pella tournament. Hopefully some good results coming out of there. And then everybody enjoys a couple of weeks off for the holidays. And busy January coming back. In fact, I know we're going to see the Oski wrestling team 4 more times yet this season on the Indians Network live. 4 more home meets coming up, 3 of them in January and 1 very beginning of February. So I'm looking forward to that. We get a lot of chances to see you guys on the mats this year. So good luck to you, continued success, and we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you.
All right, that is Chase Weber. He's the head wrestling coach at Oskaloosa High School, joining us here on Indians Corner. Indians Corner presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee. We'll take a break, and we'll be back to wrap things up right after this.
This is more than a bundle. It's more than a combo deal. It's not just stuff. This is your home, your car. And you want to give them the protection they deserve. With home and auto insurance. State Farm agents get it. It's why they're here.
Call State Farm agent Wendell Campbell at 641-673-4462.
Hy-Vee's Choice Reserve and Prime Reserve Beef, arguably the best beef in America. Their quality and flavor are undisputable, undeniable. Let's get ready to be unstoppable! By unanimous decision,
Well, thank you once again for tuning in to this week's edition of Indians Corner, presented by Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee here on the Indians Network. I want to say a big thank you to all coaches who joined us this week. Brandon Schultz, who was here in place of J.C. White this week, representing the Oskaloosa girls basketball program. DeJuan Foster for the Oskaloosa basketball boys, and then also Chase Weber, the Oskaloosa head wrestling coach, joining us today. It's another busy week coming up this week on the Indians Network. Final week of action before we head into the holiday break and are off for a couple of weeks. We will have Oskaloosa boys basketball on the air on Tuesday night at home against Washington. Then on Friday, we take the show on the road, audio-only broadcast from Newton Friday, girl-boy doubleheader, pregame at 6 o'clock, girls at 6:15, followed up by the boys. Audio only on Friday from Newton. And then back home Saturday when Eddyville Blakesburg Fremont comes in to town for a girl-boy doubleheader. Girls tip off at 5 o'clock, followed by the boys, and we'll start our coverage about 4:45 on Saturday afternoon right here on the Indians Network from the Oskaloosa Gym. And from there then it's off for the holidays and back in January where things get going pretty quick once again and are hot and heavy all the way through March. So thanks again for watching. Thanks to our sponsors. And again, thanks to Wendell Campbell State Farm and Oskaloosa Hy-Vee for sponsoring our Indians Corner. For all of us at the Indians Network, my name is Jamie Brockman. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Go Indians!